Howdy, everybody. Richard Zane here on the TexAgs Radio Rewind. It's Christmas Eve. Happy Festivus to you wherever you may be. On this episode of the Rewind, we talk about Texas A&M's Gator Bowl being canceled with Billy Lucci. We got McGee on Texas A&M's QB situation as Haynes King, Max Johnson, and Connor Wegman will vie for the starting spot next year. Chris Taylor offered his breakdown on Texas A&M's 2022 skill position signees, and Cole Cubelic joined us to talk about the Joe Moore Award. It's currently residing in Ann Arbor, Michigan. All that on the TexAgs Radio Rewind presented by T-Mobile. So, Billy, let's dive right into it if you're all right with that. And if you could just take us through the timeline of everything that happened as we finally ended up on the unfortunate matter of the bowl game being canceled for Texas A&M.
Yeah, I think everything kind of started up. It sounds like the last day they practiced was Saturday, so they just didn't. They were operating without much margin for error, and I think it's my understanding that what you had is a few vaccinated athletes are symptomatic, and that's obviously the only way they're getting tested at this point. That's why they were able to go through the entire year without losing a single player to a game, I believe, unless that happened really quietly. I don't think it happened. But so then you had a couple of positives come out from the vaccinated, at least enough to where it was kind of red flag, like, okay, something's going on here if we're getting vaccinated. Plus, I'm sure many of the unvaccinated, I don't think that's a big group, but if you had a certain number, I'm sure they were advised and to test everybody at that point before sending everyone home. We talked about this the other day. I don't want to rehash too much, but before sending everyone home for Christmas holidays, 100 kids going to their families all over the country and tested them to say, okay, do we have a problem or not? And it sure sounds like they did, because the numbers, if you do the math, that's well over 20. It's my understanding that those numbers even rose yesterday, even after that went out. So, again, you're getting a lot of people that don't really understand the dynamic here on social media. The real world isn't on Twitter. It's not actually reality. Twitter has been, they want to be judge, jury, and executioner there. It's fascinating to watch Texas fans at work on this one. They're literally celebrating this as if they're in a bowl. They're celebrating. That's what they've been reduced to, is celebrating A&M's team getting hit pretty hard by COVID and trying to spin it as not wanting to play Wake Forest. This is the fan base that lost to Kansas. So you're getting a lot of that. The reality is people don't understand, like, these guys are out for, the one thing I'm not positive on saying is it a week or is it 10 days? And I think the ones that are positive, it's a week. And then this 3-day, whatever they call it, acclimation period. And these are, I'm 99% sure these are SEC rules or they're county rules, whatever it is. They're out a minimum of a week. You had to cancel 4 days of practice. You're coming back beforehand. I've seen people actually, and people I respect, and if you're an Aggie listening to this, I got nothing for you. They really believe that A&M should field a team of walk-ons. First of all, they think there's 100, 50 walk-ons on the team ready to play. I don't know that any took a snap this year.
That's interesting that you bring that up. And, Jimbo had said publicly that Bose would start, but everyone knew there's a lot of rumblings coming from practice and how well Haynes King had been playing on the practice field, which we've heard a lot about the last 2 years. But to your point, if he could have actually played, which he would have preserved his red shirt, right? Because he would have played under 4 games. So it makes a lot of sense that he would have been out there. I think it is. I think now that would have given him a leg up if he especially would have played well in the game going into next year as the assumed starter. But I think now going into next year, it's got to be a clean slate for all 3 guys. I think you got to let them come in and compete. So I still think that he's the odds-on favorite to win the job. I think that everyone believes in him. He's earned that respect. But again, you can't just be dependable on the practice field and in the room and off season and all those things. That's wonderful. He's a great leader. But at the same time, your team's got to depend on you on Saturday, and you got to stay healthy. And I think that's going to be the one thing that he's got to prove.
You mentioned all three guys in a quarterback competition upcoming this spring in Aggieland. It's the first time we've had you on the show since Max Johnson announced he was transferring to A&M from LSU last Friday. What do you make of that decision, that announcement to come to Aggieland less than a month after ripping our hearts out in Death Valley?
Yeah, he's played well against us 2 years in a row. I mean, he beat out a 5-star quarterback as a true freshman, a fellow guy that he came in. So the guy's not scared of competition. He comes from a great family. Brad Johnson was in Dallas before I got there, and I've heard nothing but incredible things about Brad. And he was just one of those scrappy athletes that was good at everything. And I feel like you kind of get the feeling Max Johnson is that kind of a kid. He's got that compete in him. He's fiery on the field. We saw that against A&M. And he, in my opinion, I think he's going to be. I'm interested to see this thing shake out because I think he's talented. I've heard some people say that they don't think he's very good. I do. I think he's a good football player. He throws the ball well, but I think most importantly is you can tell he has the mind of a quarterback. He sees pressures, he gets the ball out, and he can move around and make plays with his legs as well. So I think he's a complete player. It's good to have three good options at quarterback, especially on a year like we just experienced. I could honestly see any one of these guys being the day one starter.
So if you had to make a way too early pick, who's going to be the starter when A&M hosts Sam Houston State on September the 3rd, 22? Is it going to be Haynes King, or is it going to be Max Johnson, or the true freshman Connor Wegman?
Yeah. My feeling right now is Haynes King will be the guy, just based off everything I hear consistently. There's a lot of belief in this kid. For a guy that's played very little at A&M, he's as praised as I've ever been around. So there's something to that. Now, at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, he's got to stay healthy, and he seems to be injury prone throughout his career. So we'll see what happens there. But if you want me to put money on it today, I would put money on Haynes King.
Chris Taylor, former Texas A&M wide receiver on the BCSI Associates hotline with us right now, breaking down Texas A&M's skill position signees. We just did the wide receivers, and now we're moving to the tight ends. A&M signed 3. Billy Lucci in his class grades gave it an A++. They signed the best player in 2 different countries, this one as well as Sweden. CT, what do you make of this tight end haul?
All 3 of them are big guys. All 3 of them can run. Much like the receivers, all 3 of them attack the football. They're not waiting for that thing to get into their body where now you don't know what's going to happen when it makes contact with those shoulder pads. They all are really, really good route runners. I look for them when they get on campus, probably adding 10, 15, 20 pounds to the frame, because now you're not just receivers, where getting a chance to see these guys flex out and make the plays, and they have the mismatches versus the safeties and things like that. But now you're going to be asked to block that defensive end weighing 280, 285 pounds, and you're going to be asked to be able to do some of these different things. And so I'm excited to see these guys get on campus, bulk up a little bit, maintain their speed, maintain that athleticism. But all 3 of them, man, what a haul for Jimbo. I finally got a chance to watch Johnson this past week, and just his route running ability was something that it was special to me. He understands what it means to find the soft spot in the defense. He understands what it means to be able to press technique and press leverage and to get in and out of his breaks quickly and get his head around. And all of those things that you teach and you talk to receivers about, he possesses those skills at tight end. And so, but then you look at Green, same thing. And so it's going to be an amazing tight ends room. We talk about the wide receiver room and how great that thing is going to be. That tight end room is going to be super competitive as well.
Why is that award so meaningful, and why is it so special to honor a unit as a whole rather than the individual like we see with all the other awards?
Well, it's the only award that goes to an entire position group in all sports. And so I think just from that perspective, it's unique, it's different, it's special. And, we look at it as it's a position that's still not greatly understood, that a lot of people have misconceptions about. A lot of people believe that they can grade or, I guess, evaluate in different ways that aren't necessarily always accurate. So, it's an idea that Aaron Taylor came up with 2015 to be able to start this and honor the offensive line coach that he played for and be able to reward a group that, normally everyone's might talk about or might think about, but we wanted to put guys together that are going to look at it in a way that we did when we played or when they coached or when they evaluated it for the NFL. The thing about it is you don't vote for this award unless you played the position, coached the position, or evaluated it for the NFL. And that's another reason that we think that it's very different from a lot of other college football awards. Is not just trying to geographically pick out as many media members as we can to be able to vote for it. We have legitimate credentials that are applied to what you're supposed to see when you're evaluating these positions in this group. So it's we think it's the most important position in football, and obviously there's not a lot of people who evaluate it the right way and reward it the right way, and that's what we wanted to try to do.
Obviously, you're the chairman of the Joe Moore Award. What does that title entail? What are your responsibilities, and how important is that title and that role to you?
Yeah, I'm actually the chairman of the voting committee. So basically, essentially, I work under Aaron Taylor. He runs it. It's his show. He is, he's the king. He's the president. He's the dictator of the entire thing. But my role becomes more of an organizational role. Obviously, I assist with decision making, but my role is just basically to put people together to have the understanding of what we're looking at, who we're looking at, why we're looking at them. To organize the thoughts of certain peoples. We have different levels of groups that watch things and talk about things and how we evaluate who's going to end up being where and who we're going to talk about, different things of that nature. So that's sort of where I come in, is just going and finding different people who can maybe be a part of the award, organizing the people who are a part, talking to them about what we want to be, what we see, how we want to move forward with certain things, certain teams, and just kind of keeping everybody on the same page.
Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like, comment, tell Dalton and I which Christmas movies we need to watch. Subscribe to TexAgs on YouTube and also become a TexAgs Premium subscriber. That's it for us. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas. We'll be back on Tuesday of next week.